So we have birthday surprise for our sweet Dhamma mama. Yeah, I did want her to talk a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes.
I could talk for 5 minutes.
Okay, great. So there's something usable for the recording.
Well, I have no idea what's supposed to happen.
Everybody has been awesome about that. Preview.
But I was thinking this morning about, what it means to celebrate the birthday. And I thought, okay, the body is 70 years old. All right. Because it's good that the body's gotten to this point. But the mind, however, is not aging. And you might say, well, wait a minute. I mean, what about the changes that happen to us mentally as we get older, dementia or forgetfulness or whatever? But, that's actually a physical problem. That's actually because the mind is connected to the brain, and the brain is part of the body, and the body belongs to nature. And everything in nature ages and falls apart. So we're celebrating that the body is 70 years old and the mind has its limitations relative to its connection with the brain. But I think it's worth celebrating the fact that there is a body that we can use for practice, because the Buddha said everything that we need to learn about the Dhamma, we can learn through this body. So feeling spiritual energy, being able to take action in the world and make mistakes and learn from them. That's all available to us because of the body. Being able to interact with each other. I mean, clearly the devas get to interact with they have a body too. Kind sense more subtle. But there's been some confusion, I think. One of the things that's really helpful about living longer is we have more time to sort out our confusion and change, learn. And that's, excuse me, that's not the part of the mind that's not aging. I mean, it's not that, okay, let me try to say this more clearly. The mind, I think, when the Thai forest masters say things like the chitta never dies, the mind never dies, or it's just the knowing. They're talking about chitta, but they're not talking about what I might think of as my mind with its defilements. The defilements are there clouding the chitta, but the chitta actually isn't a thing, and it's outside of time. This is an interesting way to think about it. And it's completely in opposition to the commentarial view of what the chitta is, arising and passing away every moment, that kind of thing. But the chitta, thought of as outside of time, is really interesting. It's not aging, it's not going to die. And it's not a thing, it's not a self. It's a verb, it's a process. It's the knowing of the Dhamma and available to everyone. And when we don't see the Dhamma, it's because the defilements are clouding that knowing. And so living a long time, or whatever amount of time we have in this life, if we can use it to clear away that confusion, that's something to celebrate. And we all have this opportunity in this life to change, and that's the part that's changing, that learning how to align with and live according to Dhamma. So we see our, desires and how fruitless it is to chase after them. And we see our selfishness and our wrong view of thinking there's something solid here that I can claim, because there's not. So we're not celebrating that. Okay, there's this thing here, but to think, wow, this is a chance. No matter how old we are, we can still change in that way. We can still purify the mind. We can still allow the knowing to come through and be unrestricted by the petty things that at one point or another we feel, experience, make use of in order to feel more safe, that never brings safety. And then instead, as we develop, as we walk around with t-shirts that say the door to the deathless is open, or whatever our expression is of the Dhamma, then we can celebrate the fact that that's what we're doing with this body and mind, and how wonderful that is. So one of the things I celebrate, I think almost every day, is you all. Because it's so wonderful to be in a community where people are changing and growing and learning and being kind and generous, and their hearts growing, and the limitations on that are falling away. So thank you.